Selections from Be As You Are, the teachings of Sri Ramana Maharshi. You are awareness. Awareness is another name for you. Since you are awareness, there is no need to attain or cultivate it. At one stage, you will laugh at yourself for trying to discover the self, which is so self-evident. The real is as it is, always. We are not creating anything new or achieving something which we did not have before. The mind does not exist without the self. The self exists without the mind. The wrong knowledge of I am the body is the cause of all the mischief. The self is a state of simple awareness. The self is prior to consciousness. No one can ever be away from the self. Bliss is not added to your nature. It is merely revealed as your true natural state. Nothing more can be predicated of the self than that it exists. You, being the self, want to know how to attain the self. It is like a man being at a place asking how many ways there are to reach that place and which is the best way for him. The self alone exists. When you try to trace the ego, which is the basis of the perception of the world and everything else, you find the ego does not exist at all, and neither does all this creation that you see. Thought is projected out from the self. Find out from where it rises. Thoughts will cease to rise, and the self alone will remain. If we look on the self as the ego, then we become the ego. If as the mind, we become the mind. If as the body, we become the body. Take no notice of the ego and its activities, but see only the light behind. The state free from thoughts is the only real state. It is the mind that veils our happiness. Abiding in the self, one need not worry about the mind. The idea of time is only in your mind. There is no time for the self. Time arises as an idea after the ego arises. But you are the self beyond time and space. You exist even in the absence of time and space. Time and space are in you. All that you see around you is in you. A guru will not give you anything you have not already got. It is impossible for anyone to get what he has not got already. We are always the self, only we do not realize it. The ordinary man lives in the brain, unaware of himself. The self is the substratum of all that is seen. The seeker ultimately reaches the self, and there finds unity as the prevailing note. The world neither exists by itself nor is it conscious of its existence. The self is God. For if God be apart from the self, he must be a selfless God, which is absurd. You now think that you are an individual, that there is the universe, and that God is beyond the cosmos. So there is the idea of separateness. This idea must go, for God is not separate from you or the cosmos. Knowing the self, God is known. In fact, God is none other than the self. God the Creator, the personal God, is the last of the unreal forms to go.